Once again, I'm going to do a shorter video now dealing with daylight savings time. So here we go. Daylight savings time in the United States is the practice of setting the clock forward by 1 hour when there is longer daylight during the day so that evenings have more daylight and mornings have less. Most areas of the United States observe daylight savings time, DST, the exceptions being Arizona, except for the Navajo, who do observe daylight savings time on the tribal lands, Hawaii, and the overseas territories of American Samoa, Guam, and the Northern Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the United States Virgin Islands. The Uniform Time Act of 1966 established a system of uniform daylight savings time throughout the U.S. Okay. In the U.S., daylight saving time starts on the second Sunday in March and ends on the first Sunday in November, within the time changes taking place at 2 a.m. local time. The mnemonic wordplay referring to seasons clocks, spring forward, fall back. That is, in springtime the clocks are moved forward from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., and in the fall they are moved back from 2 a.m. to 1 a.m. Daylight savings time lasts for a total of 34 weeks, 238 days every year, about 65% of the entire year. Okay? So, once again, this data here and its discussion is basically a clear statement, as I discussed in November, is the forward and back. Okay? The scriptural discussion is basically a parallel in terms of time, season, and movements of the suns. So I'm basically just bridging any kind of gap that would exist and connecting modern science with ancient biblical texts. Okay? On that day, the day is equalized with the night and becomes of equal length, and the night amounts to 9 parts and the day to 9 parts. Once again, you have to think of this in terms of a scale, the metric and full measure of a day and half. Our metric is a 24-hour full day and night. Okay, half is 12 hours, as we know. So we have 12 noon, 12 midnight. Okay, so at the same time, this is a 18 metric. So I'm not going to call it hours. I call it just parts. It says parts scripturally. So instead of a 24-hour full, as we do hours, this is 18. It's a different metric of measure, but it's still the measure of the same day. Okay? So once again, the scriptural reading, as you read through it month to month, it goes from 9 and 9 to 8 and 10 to 7 and 11 to 6 and 12 as an extreme of the length of day to night and night to day. Okay? And so we actually don't discuss that metric in terms of parts and ratios. We only go by longer to shorter. Okay, in general, we're much more general in our discussions of dealing with daylight saving times than this text. So once again, it's the same comparison. So as I would say again, see this 10 parts, day, night, 8. So once again, when you read this text, and it's in the 72nd chapter of Enoch, I've also have taken note that when you go from version to version of the book of Enoch, the chapters are different in terms of their numbering, and some include some parts and some don't. Okay, so you have to be careful, but it is the book of the courses of the heavenly luminaries, and it's done in a very more detailed context, dealing with portals, parts, pathways of the sun, and it actually deals with the sun as moving rather than the earth. In terms of the orbits, it literally just deals only with the sun moving through, where we look at things as the path of the earth around the sun. So everything is in a different context, but it's parallel. Okay?